This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by AuthorU and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, as always, it's the top of the day or bottom of the day, depending upon what part of the world you're in. As you listen in to AuthorU, your guide to book publishing, this is Judith Briles, and I'm just going to play with you today and talk about one of the things that is really, really important in your author and book success. And that one of the things that spurred me on that I wanted to really come back and revisit this with a little bit more depth was a situation that we're working through with one of our clients. It's a happy dance situation, and he is getting ready to officially launch his book next week, a la Amazon, which a lot of authors do that. It's been up available for pre-ordering, and that the orders have been actually coming in because we have been doing a series of things to propel and drive people, and I've been part of that, as well as he has been reaching out to his network. And so what I wanted to do was explore some of the things that you need to do to get ready to make sure that it's a success, especially if you're trying to nab a bestseller in your category. So we're going to get into that drive down a little bit on Amazon and what you need to do to maybe find some of these oddball categories within your arena so that you have it. So let's just start off with some of the things that you need to do to create your infrastructure. So if you're going to be doing this exclusively through a bookstore, that it's going to be a while before you're going to have any measurement. And certainly you can do that. For example, I know that when Gail Mancini did her book launch, she did it totally in support of one of the independent bookstores that was located. She lives in Colorado, and Tattered Cover is the big one that is in the Colorado area. And it's actually one of the big independents in the country. But what she did is they put together a phenomenal display. A very close friend said, I want to honor you. You've done so much for our family. So let me help you put this party together. And what a party it was. And it was at a country club. It was like an affair. When we walked in, we were let in. The title of it the book was a women's fiction book, To Tuscany with Love. We walked in, and there were big bursts of sunflowers. We walked through these main doors to this ballroom, and there were 2 mandolin players. There was a display of food that would rival any main hotel. I mean, I've heard of a variety of things, but they brought the lobster out. They brought fabulous crab out. They had a 3-foot ice sculpture with the cover of her book in it. There were stations for desserts. There were stations for beverages. I mean, it was really quite an event. Gail sold over 280 books, and she made sure that all book sales were credited to, so if people wrote checks, they wrote them to the Tattered Cover. If they paid by credit card, she went back and rebought them through the Tattered Cover, and she was number 1 for weeks and weeks here in Colorado. Because of just what that buzz started. So that's one way. You can do it with a bookstore and drive it through an event. You certainly can do a campaign if you're going for the Big Apple, let's say, with the New York Times, where some people actually do pay buku bucks. Let me tell you, buku bucks, the independents, and having a campaign put on by people. And when I'm talking about buku, I'm talking about a hefty 5-figure amount that someone goes out and actually does a huge amount of buying. They put together an army of people that go out and buy books So they are only bought through certain bookstores that feed into the New York Times list. I'm going to tell you, unless you've got money to throw away, I would sure take a pass at this one. And then others are just kind of saying, you know what, I'm going to start playing with the Amazon game and build up with there. And bookstores will be, and Amazon is a bookstore, it's just online, that the brick and mortar bookstores will be secondary because there are strings attached. You need to understand, if you want your book in a bookstore that is brick and mortar, you have got to put in the time and energy. And I don't care if you're published with a New York published publisher, or you are with an independent. You're doing it on your own, or you're working with a small press. You are going to be putting in the guts, the energy, the time, to drive people there. Don't expect anyone else to do it. If you do, you're living in la la land, at least in today's publishing. So you've got that going on, and you're going to be driving people specifically to that bookstore to buy those books. If you want Barnes & Noble, and Barnes & Noble has a special division based in New York, that scrutinizes and goes through the marketing plans for presses, for the independent small presses. And if they like the book, if they think they can sell it, if it's a fit, if it's got the right pricing, they like things as low as possible. If it's a fit, they may put in a sample order to see, if it will come in. But one of the strings attached, if you're dealing with a lot of, certainly a chain bookstore, is that you have got to have a national distributor. And I know that in a prior edition of AuthorU-Your Guide to Book Publishing, I had Robin Cutler from Ingram Spark on, and talking about bringing Ingram to the party, which is certainly the big boys of national distributors, that we are now recommending that you not only, if you print books offset, where you're, like I'm going to tell you about a story where we put in an order today for a 5,000 first reprint of a book that's not even officially published yet this morning, that we have a situation where you have to bring these books and have them available through these distributors for these changed order. Ingram can bring that to the party for you, but it has to be approved that Barnes & Noble says, yes, we're going to do it, and then you let them know that Ingram is your player. So I would encourage you to listen, go back, roll back, and scroll into past editions of this show and re-listen to the key points and tips that Robin and I went through during that. If you are going to do the Amazon game, there are things that you want to do. Now, you can certainly go through and become like a private vendor of sort and sell directly through their store, where you keep the bulk of the money, although there's you don't get some of the perks, the bells and whistles, let's say, by coming with that you would do through the publisher's page, which is where I'm really going to recommend that you do. So that would be the Amazon.com/advantage. Now, you will set up an account. You provide your banking information. Make sure your banking information ties in with the name of what you are putting up. This is who you are. And you have the appropriate tax ID number that goes with that. Then you load up the content to your page. This is all part of your launch, all the content. Pay attention to the information where they're telling you how to put the content up, because it'll show you how to break paragraphs, how to use italics, how to bold things, how to do line breaks, etc. So you have them in. If you have already some pre-reviews, there's a section to put those up, and you want those in. There's a nice section of the bio. And I would look at what your competition is on Amazon so you can see what those pages look like. And I always make sure that my clients have their back cover copy. I mean, that's the meat. That's your sales marketing piece. Why not duplicate that? You don't need to reinvent the wheel here with that. You're going to identify what your genres are, what categories you go in, and what you are doing with the pricing of it. And is it paper? Is it hard? What kind of book it is in. Now, when you first set it up for this, you get 2 category selections, and they're not broad. the trick to expand what category you're in is once you get all your basic information up and you get your cover loaded up, right, your page will be live. They tell you anywhere from 3 to 5 days. My experience is I'm seeing these things come up in a day, within a day, sometimes within hours. They're that fast. All right, when you set your publication date, when you're first setting it up, if it's past the day you do it, and I think it's a good idea, once you have that cover, you go in and you start moving forward with your Amazon Advantage page. Once you have that cover, you can start taking pre-orders, which is what happened with my client. And what Bob Martin did is he has a book that's for middle schools. It's a chapter book. And you know, not a, you know, an in-depth chapter book like you would have a Harry Potter or you would have some of the Percy Jackson books. I mean, those are, you know, more advanced. But it's a very fun, it's a mystery. It's a detective agency series, and this primary target is girls. Okay, so I don't get to choose all those when we set it up. But the secret sauce to do that is once you have your initial page set up, then you're going to go to Author Central. And you can just quickly Google Author Central, Amazon's Author Central, and it'll give you that little link to go to. And now you set up that page. Why do you want to do that? Because it lets you talk to Amazon, which is what you want to be able to do. So, prior to talking to Amazon, what you want to do now is to go into best sellers of your specific genre. In Bob's case, for the case of the missing crown jewels, that he's going into, the ages would have come up 9 to 12 is where he is, and he's going to be going into that. And he is now going to be looking at the best sellers, and he's going to look at the categories and the subcategories of like the top 10 best sellers, because he needs to understand what he is competing against. Once you figure that out, you want to go with the lesser numbers, and then you can determine what number you have to go over to achieve number one. It's very cool to do this. We'll be right back. Lots more. We're talking about building your book launch before you officially launch. This is Judith Briles.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Many of us have dreamed of writing a book.
Some of us even have.
Then the hard work starts.
You'll need an editor.
Who will design the cover or typeset the pages?
Who will format the ebook?
If you're a business owner, consultant, or coach with a serious message and expertise to share, the team of experts at 1106 Design can guide you through the maze.
They've helped more than 1,000 authors create top-quality books and avoid the not-so-reputable self-publishing companies.
Learn more at 1106design.com.
Then call Michelle at 602-866-3226. 1106 Design.
Is there a book in you or another? AuthorU will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. AuthorU brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through AuthorU's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, AuthorU is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join AuthorU today through its website at AuthorU.org. Follow AuthorU on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at AuthorU, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. AuthorU, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
First impressions are everything in the world of book publishing. Whether your book is an ebook, a print version, or both, your book cover needs to pop, sizzle, and sparkle to immediately capture the attention of your audience. And your book's interior needs to be just as dynamic and reflect the professionalism your readers demand. Nick Sellinger of NZ Graphics has won numerous national and international book awards for his cover designs and interior layouts. With over 20 years of experience in graphic design, he knows what it takes to create award-winning books and the many promotional pieces that authors need, such as posters, banners, postcards, one-sheets, business cards, logos, and more. Visit ncgraphics.com and see what authors and publishers have to say about their award-winning books and how NZ Graphics can make your book the success it was meant to be. That's nzgraphics.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so I was talking about Author Central, and the secret sauce of what it allows you to do is once you have that account set up, which you link to your website, you put your blog in there, you can add multiple images and pictures, and it's another way to stay open and exposed to all this. That you want to notice that when you go on that first page, you log in to you have the ability to contact them. And they'll say, do you want us to, contact you by email? And that's not what you want. You want to talk. And when you say, call me, you put in, they'll verify what number they call you at. And when they will call you your phone will ring within 5 seconds. Now, it may take 30 seconds for a live person to come on, but they will be on it right away. And you've got someone who is right here to handle it, and they can help maneuver you through a few more of the potholes, but actually can tell you, this category might be better for your book when you talk to them. So it's smart to have this. So advantage first. And then secondly, you will go to and you will have create the Author Central so you can communicate. All right, so you've got those set up. Let's just assume that we're going to be there. Now, this is the time, and here's what's been going on for Bob. And I certainly have been, because he's my client and I know the book quite well. And I think it's a fabulous book for girls in the summertime and reading. And it has this wonderful link between a grandparent. You've got the Kara and the Papa detective agencies, and that Kara is the granddaughter and Papa is the grandpa. So it has a nice ring and relationship to it. So there's a lot of pluses here moving for the book. Plus, it's a fun story. And I've been tweeting about it since early June. Get ready. This book is going to be, available toward the end of June. Bob has aggressively been pushing out and talking to his network. And so one of the critical things as we go through this is that you've got to figure out where we're going to sell our books. That would be number one. Okay. And are we doing bookstores? Are we doing Amazon? Are we doing a combination? What? And you get that set up. If you need to develop a relationship, if bookstores are what you're going after, you've got to find out who the decision maker is within the bookstore. And if it's an independent bookstore, they will often buy from the publisher directly, whoever that is, or they will go through a distributor. They will tell you how they want to do it. You need to ask, and you have to have that available. So that's important. If it's a major chain, you got to have a major distributor, which is going to be something like a Ingram or Baker and Taylor. And certainly there's other regional distributors out there to do that. You need to have that in play to do that. Next, you want to definitely to ignore Amazon. And those of you who have checked out Amazon, or I've had people actually resist, and they moan and they groan, they take 55%. Would you please get over that? So does everybody else. So if you have a $20 book, they're going to take 55%, which means you will net 9. Now, one of the things important to know about Amazon is since they are more of a just-in-time sales, they are not going to stock up a boatload of inventory with the hopes that you're going to market at some point. They are not going to do that. They will order a couple of books. They may order 5 books. And test the waters. And one of the things that you need to let them know is if you're planning on a special launch date, that this is what's going to happen, and you let them know what you're incorporating in to support it and make it happen. And you recommend the number of books that they should order. If you don't have a past history, they're cautious. But if you say you've hired, a company to handle the marketing, or you've got a national publicist involved, whatever it is that you're doing, let them know to encourage them to do what is called stocking up. And how you talk to them is you go back to their Amazon Advantage page and you click on the little form up the taskbar that says contact us. And again, you have a series of drop-down menus, but one of them will be about stocking up. And you tell them what you're planning on doing. And usually they are fairly responsive, and within 24, 48 hours, you will see some kind of a stock up request acknowledgement that will come in, and then you have it. So what they're looking for, and they may have it, closer to your date, depends on how far out you go. So in our case that we had for Bob, we had orders starting to come in all over the place. And by this morning of it, that there were over 600 pre-orders in for the book. It forced us, because we saw what was coming, and we had an aggressive campaign set up and going, that we actually went back to print for another 5,000 copies, which is far more than most people, especially on the first run, think of. So he will have many, many, many thousands of copies available, of which he, I suspect him to not only nail down number 1, but also because of the momentum, which is what you're after, building buzz. And that's what we have been doing this whole past month, is building buzz. And that's part of your launching. So get pity. They're excited. They're getting ready. Multiple orders are coming in to get it so you can gear up and get ready to go for the next round. So bookstores, Amazon, Author Central, talking to them. And now you come back to, okay, so how's your social media? And doing it. Do you have people who will be doing shout outs for you? So in my case, Bob was my client. I will do anything to support my clients and shouting out to my various networks, who the market's for, ideal, etc. Who is in your camp that can do that with you and will support you because they love you and want to let that happen? So who's there in that arena? Now, the next thing that you're going to be doing is it's also important to, especially if you're brand new to the game, is to an understanding your competitors. Where do they hang out? Well, you go to the author's homepage. Well, are they on Facebook? Or are they on Twitter? Or are they on Tumblr? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Pinterest? By the way, I would absolutely encourage you to make sure that you create a Pinterest account, because there's a lot of buyers out there. And Pinterest has a higher conversion rate than any other social media platform for buying product. People hang out longer on it, create specific boards that will tie in to your book, whether they're quotes, whether they're how-tos, whether you've created images, whether you've created massive cheat sheets in a lot of arenas. Get out there so people see that and they can drive to it and make that happen, which is very exciting. At least I think it's very exciting when you can get that kind of copy that comes into play. So your social media is critical on what you have there, and make sure that you start building. So why do you want to go to these other author pages? You want to see what they're doing, but you want to make sure you're following them, because why reinvent the wheel? See what they do. Okay, what can you mimic and tie it into your book to link over? Is there verbiage that they're using that is synergistic with your genre, with your type of book that you can pull into place? So you're looking for, a virtual mentor out here who may not even know what they're doing that can help shape you and go along. Follow them, make comments on their blogs. You should be writing a blog. That's also important to tie in on that, because that's another link that you can go over and say new blog about blah, blah, blah. So that's some of those components right there. But remember that for your book, that the internet is your town hall for marketing. And if you refuse to jump into that, you are really eliminating buku possibilities of book sales. So on this, then you're going to next going out there. And I think it's really important to give yourself some time. Don't decide, okay, next week I'm going to launch my book. Really do some planning strategies. I mean, I'm talking about Bob Martin and the case of the missing crown jewels, and he has been really planning now for several months. I mean, it got kicked up into gear. Once we, got the book off to print, now we could redirect and concentrate and start building that way. So it was never rushed, because if you rush, you usually don't too well. And so he's incorporated a ton of people to bring in and carry it all off. And so, and then I think it's also very important to realize that what is it you want to do? What's the goal of your launch besides selling books? Is it to bring brand recognition to you about your book, about your expertise, about what? So make sure that you're clear about what that goal is so you can keep it in, and also in any writings you're doing, like in longer postings. Twitter, of course, you're limited with postings that you do there. But Facebook allows you to do a lot more, as well as Google Plus and some of the others. And make sure that you tie it into that. All right, so when we're going to come back, we're going to jump into a lot more as you get ready to jump into where this launch is and hashtagging it. This is Judith Briles. It's your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
This is the TogiNet Radio Network, broadcasting quality programming to the world.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so we're getting close. We're really planning this launch. We've got key components set up, where we're going to go through. We've got either bookstores lined up. We've got our Amazon page set up, ready to go. We've got a good page on Author Central. We've got a date picked out that we're ready to go. We've started really looking at social media. If we haven't, we should have been on social media, but now we're in volumes and numbers. And one of the things that too many authors get them to go into, if there's one thing I hear more times than not, is that, you know what, I hate marketing. I just want to write. I want to be left alone. Well, if that's your attitude, you're not going to sell books, and you might as well just face that. So decide, if you're going to get the 100 books sold, you might be lucky. What you've got to do is realize that your book is a product, period. Publishing is a business. Your book is a product of the business. The book needs a marketing strategy. It needs sales behind it. And the key person to sell it is going to be the author. And that's just the way it is. So get over it and figure out how you're going to come out and move this forward. You cannot be a soloist here. And that's where having other people who help shout it out is perfectly reasonable. And don't be shy here. But that you need some collaboration to increase your visibility, pull some of these resources to go across. And you want to start making connections. The sooner, the better to help and make that happen. So that's critical. Now, in this planning stage, it's critical to also understand, who and what your market is. And that's where those competitors came in, who you're competing against. I would be really careful of launching. I've always advised my clients, if you're going to do a book launch, you want to look at the Tuesday, especially with Amazon, it's the Tuesday through Thursday frame. Monday, people are just busy. They have a lot on their plate. They've come out of the weekend buying. People will buy more on the weekend than they do during the week, so you lessen your competitive factors during that time. If you have a business book, that there are certain times that business books, a lot of business books launch in the fall time. And a lot launch in January. Financial books, personal financial planning books, money books, all seem to roll out in January. When you think about the cookbooks, diet books, they're in January. Health and nutrition, a lot of them come out in January. So maybe you don't want to do that during those months. Maybe you might want to look at contrarian. And I know a couple of years ago, I had one of the branding people who was responsible for the South Beach Diet book as a guest on the radio show. And they decided they decided two dramatic differences on that book. And what Cindy did is they did not bring the book out in January. They did in May, because there were less diet books and less cookbooks in May coming out. Secondly, when did a lot of cookbooks come out? Oh, December. They roll out. Oh, October through December. Huge rollout of cookbooks. So they waited till May when the competition was far less. And this is from a New York publisher. Secondly, they didn't make the book cover look like it was, a nutritional diet type book. It didn't have any clinical feel. It actually looked like a romance novel. I mean, you had South Beach, an image of the beach on the book. And literally the week they launched the book, they sold 1,300 copies, and they still made the New York Times bestseller in their category. So timing is important. So you need to understand what your specific market is about, because when you can gather these facts up, you can make these decisions of when you want to roll yours out that would be best. We made the decision for the case of the missing crown jewels because it was summertime as the kids are on it. We wanted to make sure that it was out in June. Which it, will be, and that it would lead in and roll into the summer, that by the time the kids are back in school, there'd be enough buzz going around. That was all part of our plan as we went forward. So one of the things I always say about your marketing is the more you niche your market, the bigger your market can become. So your book's not for everyone, and it's a kiss of death if any of you think it is. So I like to say also that, it's much easier to be the whale in the pond versus the sardine in the sea. So you want to go finding that, where are my readers? Who are they? And we did a show just back in a couple of months ago with Bill Van Orsdale on super fans, super readers. I'm going to encourage you, go back in our list of shows and re-listen to that show, because knowing where the super readers are, who will read, these are people who will read anything that comes out in your genre. They're just looking for new stuff all the time. And having that evolve and develop into a super fan. And those are people who all of a sudden discover you as the author, and they start to believe anything that you come out with is fabulous, and they will just buy it. And of course, if you ever look at fiction, and you start noticing that in the fiction authors who are making it, that their names are far bigger than the title of the book. In fact, people just buy because it's the author's, and I don't have that cover. I don't remember seeing that cover, so obviously I must not have it, so I'll buy the book. That is a super fan. That's what you want to develop. All right, so you want to move into those things as you're evolving into launch day. You don't want to miss the mark on this day. You want to make sure that there's inventory available however you can get it out there. So that's why you want to make sure that you get it up early on Amazon. You start driving sales. They say, there's interest there. Maybe we better pick up our ordering. Amazon typically orders on Thursdays and Sundays. If they see a lot of activity, they'll pick it up. I had one client who had over 1,000. Michelle Marshall Dawn had over 1,000 pre-orders for her book that was about yoga. That she had been pushing out and recommending that way. So the bottom line is, I think that, is it work? Oh, yeah, it's work. If you try to do a bunch of shortcuts, you're going to get in trouble quickly. Now, the other thing is that sometimes people wonder, well, should everyone do a book launch? Why shouldn't you do a book launch? And here's what's very cool. With what you can do now with online, which I love, is you can relaunch again and again. Maybe whether you have a new revision or maybe something new, maybe your book's been limping along or you never really did anything about it. Why not put together a game plan for marketing your book and getting it out? Do this back homework so you know who your market is, so you can get into that, so you know who the players are and the stars, so you can see what they're doing, so you can put together some really nice support material, some great tweets, some great postings, and you literally start an ongoing blitz of all this and putting it all together. So this is where your knowledge comes in to say. So, and it really ties into the whole thing of understanding that you are in sales. You're in sales, and if you shy away from that, that you're not going to do well. I'm just going to throw it on the table that you've got to be that front person. You're the pitch person. I want you to think about like going fishing. And today, is National Go Fishing Day. So, on June 18th. So, thinking of National Go Fishing Day, that is any fisher, do we say person? Fisherman. A fisher, people who fish, throw that hook out. There's this fine line attached to it, and they start reeling it in, slowly, gently, hoping to grab the attention of the fish. That's exactly what you're doing as you market here. As you put this out and you throw it out and you start reeling it in slowly, gently. So these little teasers, these tweets you put out, these postings you put out, these blogs you put out, maybe these boards you make. And where do I make my boards, my posters? I use Canva, C-A-N-V-A. There's a free and there's a fee. Heck, I use free all the time. I think it's very cool. If you don't know how to do this stuff, if you can't figure it out, go to something like Fiverr, FIVRR.com, and throw out and say, I've got all these quotes, pull out quotes from your book or aha sayings or nuggets and say, I need to have these posters made. And quotes, and let someone make it. Maybe having someone make a slew of them for $5 each is exactly what you need, because you know what? It gets it done. Get it up on Pinterest. But every time you put that quote, I want you to write that quote out, the image on the quote, the image, the inspiration, the goose, the nugget, the aha, whatever it is. I want you to write it out in a posting, but also then attach the image of the poster. And that way, that brings it together really quite nicely. So that, because the stats show that when you have an image attached to whether it's a Google Plus, whether it's a Facebook, whether it's a Tumblr, whether it's a tweet, you have something like 38% higher probability of someone stopping, reading it, paying attention, even making a comment, liking, sharing, retweeting, fill in the blank. So those are little tips and tricks that you want to start just incorporating in your everyday social media marketing world about you and your book. This is Judith Briles. We'll be back with one final segment of nuggets for you to go forward with your book launch.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today. 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207. Or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
This is the TogiNet Radio
customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
All right, so you're going to launch your book. You don't want it to misfire. You want to make sure that you have the right timing, because timing is critical of putting it together and making sure that your market is there, your readership is there to hear your voice when you put it out. What do you do next? Okay, so you've got your book, you picked the date, and it's going. You want to monitor it. You want to pay attention to it. So if you're doing online, I always recommend, I like to use Snagit, TechSmith, T-E-C-H Smith.com, create Snagit, and I like to go in, and so I can take pictures of it. I can watch it advance. Certainly on Amazon, they update their hourlies every hour. I can watch it, and I move it up and I take pictures. You can shout out to your community on the day or days that's going on. Here's what's going on. So you report. I would be prepared to do a blog around it and include those images as they go on. When you pull an image, and you can include that certainly in any virtual tweets that you have going on. And by the way, in your or Facebooks or any of the other social media, one of the things I would forewarn your feeds and all of them where you live in social media, that if you have a special launch day, let's say that July 1st is going to be your big day, that I would give them a heads up like a day before. At least in the stream, that there is going to be multiple, because you are doing multiple postings. You're not doing one or two. You're going to do a lot throughout the day. And that's why you want to make up, by the way, a whole bunch of different ones. You just don't want to keep doing, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. You want to create, something that's, snappy and sassy. It ties around to it. And I know that for Bob, I wrote up 7 variations very quickly of tweets for him to use, and some variations on some of the others to put out for the case of the missing crown jewels. So he has those to tweak in, and I will be using it, because I'm not going to send out the same one, because, one line might get attention of somebody, where another line may grab them. So you want to have those variables out there. So that's one of the strategies you want to keep that in mind. So I would give a heads up to whoever your fans, your friends, your followers, your peeps, whoever they are, and let them know that you're going to be really having a lot of action going on. And I would also say maybe putting out something the day before where you can do a longer copy that remind them how much good information, content you shared with them, whether it's how to, informational, savvy sayings, inspirational quotes, whatever it is, and that now you're going to be telling people about your brand new book and you're really excited about it. If you're giving any bonuses, a lot of times authors will do that. I'm seeing more and more actually go away from adding it, and I've certainly done that in the past where I launched 2 years ago my AuthorU book in late fall, and if anyone spent, and the book was $40, if anyone bought the book, they got over $2,000, and that was really a true value from videos and trainings and things. If they bought the book and they went into a special landing page and put in whatever their confirmation code is, and then they could download everything. You could do that, or you could, maybe a product yourself that you could tell, and this is something that you might want to consider doing, that is a special thank you from you, that you'd like to give them something back in return. And so do you have any special videos? Do you have maybe a pre-done webinar that you can download and they can rewatch again, for example? Do you have any of that that you could go ahead and push out? I would certainly recommend that you do that, but I don't think you have to put in a lot of the energy that we used to have to do. And you might even consider doing this, and I haven't mentioned this, but how about making a short video, like less than 90 seconds? It would be even cooler if you could do it in 60 seconds, and just tell them with you talking into it, the image that this is coming, this is go, this will be hot, and have it all ready. So, those are things few of the things that you can do to put together very, very quickly and make it exciting to that and bring it about. Now, when it's over, when it's all over and you've got it there, what I would be doing is looking at doing a post, kind of a post-op check-in, and share with people what happened, what you did, and again bring back images of going in. For what happened with my client today is we had to go back to print before we even had the launch, and we were able to get some books. We had to do some fancy tap dancing to meet the increased demand that at Amazon was pulling down, because we have another phase coming in right behind it. We have a national publicist who is going to do with a massive engagement of going about and keep the push going. Now, this particular book that I've been telling you about, it's a series, and there is another book that we're getting ready to work on right behind it that will increase it and move it into that direction. So that will keep the buzz going. So what is it that you're going to do next? What's going to come out of your bag of tricks next? Are you just going to do the same old thing? Or are you going to add on some other goodies, some other bells and whistles? What could you do with that as that you have that? And that's what begins your full marketing plan. What other products that you're going to have? Are you going to have something special that you're going to add to your website that you want to direct them to? Is there something that you can give them, for example, if you have another book you're already working on? And by the way, you should be, even, you got this book out and I know you're exhausted and tired, but now the real work's starting. And part of that is you have to keep your momentum going, because if you hit it, if you connect, people are going to be looking for what's next coming from you. So what is what's next? Can you put something up with kind of sneak preview that they can pull down? And this is a way that you should be gathering your e-marketing campaigns, that you could keep adding to that, and you can sell into it, and you can have it. So that's something that you should be considering in this next phase, the next stage of what you're doing with your book launch. But bringing it all together and kind of summing this thing up as we have it, is that we're looking at a scenario where that you want to have your book all ready to go. You want to make sure that you want to have a lot of copies, because one of the things is that a lot of times people do run out, and the worst thing to do is not have enough books there. So make sure that you have copies and you're feeding into it. If you've set yourself up just to go strictly as a print on demand, that's certainly that they can do that, whether you did it through Create Space, and you're doing totally an online exclusive campaign, or you're doing Ingram Spark. That they can, print them up as they go on, and technically they can never run out. But they could say, and what you don't want to see, because here's one of the challenges: if you have on an Amazon page and it shows that you're temporarily out of stock, that a lot of people will go away and forget. And you've got to keep this in mind. Books are impulse buys. So one of my strategies is in the post-launch, and let's say my day, let's go back, and the day that I threw out a few minutes ago was July 1st, I think. Let's say that July 1st is, you are coming into, and certainly in the United States, a big holiday. You could keep it going, and I would recommend you do that. I keep posting. I know friends of mine who have done campaigns, and I support that. I know that they're all out pushing. I actually, I buy the books and support them, because that's what I want to do. But secondly, I then will be doing retweets or tweets, or if I'm involved in their team, their launch team, that I will actually spread them out over the whole next week, because what I would want to see is the legs there, and see that when I say legs, that the book continues the momentum. I don't want to have to see someone, okay, we hit bestseller, but it's only for 1 hour and then poof, it's gone. I want to see some momentum start to build, because people do check out who is the bestseller in a specific category. They're looking for something, and they are more inclined to come in and buy that. So that part of my strategy, and I would tell anyone who is supporting you in this, would you please continue to tweet after that to keep supporting that and bringing that in. And then lastly, here's what's really important. If you have sent books out for reviews and people are ready to go, if you've had your book up on Amazon, that you can't, as a pre-launch, people can't post reviews. They've got to wait until the published date comes. If it's July 1st, no one can post a review till July 1st. It is imperative, please, 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 to go back to people and say, post a review. Please, the more the merrier. Amazon starts paying attention at 35. Once you get over 110 or so, the bells and whistles go off, and actually they still will start cross-promoting you. And that is priceless, your author. So you want to make sure that you keep doing that. And also think about going to like bit.ly, bit.ly, or tiny URL, and get a customized link to the Amazon page with a special word that ties into you, and you share that in all your links. And with that starts off the book launching. There's lots more, but this gives you a primer of getting up and going. This is Judith Briles. We'll be with you next week on AuthorU, your guide to book publishing.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Each week, a variety